background.
Scientific and industrial progress could bring order and control to the wilderness of nature became the scene for an amazing act of defiance and hope, and one of the longest walks in the history of the outback. Jigalong was established in 1907 as a maintenance and ration store for workmen working on the rabbit-proof fence. The store also distributed food, rations, clothing, tobacco and blankets to the Madu people who came in from the Western Desert. With a rich history and culture going back many years, the Madu were one of the last indigenous populations to come into contact with Europeans. In 1917, Molly Craig was born here at Jigalong. Molly's mother was Madu. Her father was an Englishman who was an inspector of the rabbit-proof fence. Her father named her Molly after his sister. Molly's half-sister Daisy was born in 1923. In 1931, the government forcibly removed the two girls and their cousin Gracie from their families. Molly was 14, Gracie 11, and Daisy was only 8 years old. The girls were taken by car and then by train to Port Hedland further north. There they were put on the MV Kulinda, a ship bound for Fremantle. The journey by sea would take them 5 days. After landing in Fremantle, the girls were fascinated and bewildered by the busy city with its cars, trams, and crowds of people. It was such a contrast to their desert home and surroundings. They remember stopping here at Mogamba and the matron coming inside this hotel and then bringing them sandwiches and lemonade. The next stop, Moore River Settlement. This is the site of the Moore River Settlement. Today it's in ruins, but when it was opened in 1918, 1 year after Molly was born, it was designed by the West Australian government to be a small, self-supporting farming settlement for about 200 Aboriginal people, with a school and a health clinic. But the land wasn't good for farming, and so in the 1920s, its purpose was shifted. Residents were usually brought here against their will, as the camp attempted to be an orphanage, creche, relief depot, and home for old persons and unmarried mothers and the unwell, without being adequately staffed or funded to provide any decent services at all. Many Aboriginal children of mixed descent, then called half-castes, were brought here usually against their will as well. Moore River Settlement was under the control of Mr. Neville, the West Australian protector of Aborigines. He had the power to remove any half-caste child from their family from anywhere within the state. Molly, Gracie and Daisy arrived here on the 1st of August 1931 after travelling more than a week and over 1,600 kilometres. Forced to sleep indoors and follow a strict daily schedule was foreign to the girls, who were accustomed to a life of freedom in the great open spaces of the outback. They were restless. They longed for the red sand of the desert, the starry sky at night, the warmth of the campfire, and the security of their family. They longed for home. The three